having time out as well as having time at work.
That's when you feel that you are living your life properly, effectively, and each element of your life has the right, correct amount of time.
Faffing around. That's the right time management.
Being able to say, I'm not doing anything today, I'm not doing anything tonight, I'm having a rest.
Going home at 5:30 on a Friday.
Prioritisation.
Key if you want to have a life outside school.
Displacement activities, what do you mean by that?
This is going to sound very corny, but there's nothing I really don't like doing.
You could find yourself spending hours on displacement activities, but I like to prioritise, make a list, and I'm quite an organised person, so that helps me to avoid displacement activities.
I'm probably the queen of displacement activities. I will avoid at any cost the paperwork, and I will do the beautifying of the classroom and putting the children's work on display.
Personally, I like doing displays, and if it's my own classroom, I like to think that I've had a big hand in how it looks.
Yes, there are some things that you perhaps wouldn't like to do quite so much.
If I have a task to do, it's usually towards the end of the evening that I get it done.
But you get on and do it. I don't tend to put things off. I'm quite a big list maker, and I think you'll probably find quite a few teachers who are.
Possibly everyone gets sucked into things that, maybe they're not, someone else could say, that's a bit of a waste of time, but, because you enjoy doing them, you end up spending far too much time on.
But everything's got to get done.
I get the work done, get it done, but it's usually quite late into the night. But that's sort of how I work, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's time management at the end of the day, and yeah, sometimes you get it right and sometimes you don't get it right.
Is good enough ever good enough?
Yeah, personally I'm a perfectionist, but that's just me. But other people, they won't make sure that the borders on their displays are perfectly straight.
It goes back to thinking about the children. You want to do your best for them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on teachers, I think, to, have everything done and be organised and be, cool, calm, collected all the time and have everything under control. And is so much to do.
I wouldn't ever think in terms of the children, oh, that's all right. That's an okay lesson plan. I'll just, that's fine. That'll fill an hour.
The majority of teachers, depending on the activity at that particular moment in time, will strive for perfection. That's the nature of teachers.
I think that's a dangerous thing. If you think everything needs to be perfect, what are we expecting of the kids? Not every kid can be perfect. Not every answer can be perfect. So it's quite a dodgy, tough standard.
The sense of fulfilment quickly drops because you can't be perfect in school.
It's not possible to be perfect all the time. If you were going to do that all the time, you'd be working 24/7, and it's just not a possibility to do that.
But we do have individuals who will completely aim for perfection, and they're the ones that you see with the very, very high stress levels. So my advice on that one would be good enough is good enough, and sometimes it's even better than you thought.
I think I know myself fairly well.
I do my best work, my most creative work, probably early in the morning.
People say you're a morning person or an evening person. I don't see the job as that because it's all consuming. So you're there all the time thinking about it. I defy any head to say different.
I'm definitely an owl in that I will continue to work on and on.
I definitely am a morning person. I find my most productive 45 minutes are in the morning.
I have spent probably the last 5 years trying to be organised. It doesn't come very naturally to me, so I find it quite difficult. And even if you're 90% organised, it's always that 10% that you're not organised that seems to show to everybody, or it's the one that you focus on anyway.
Myself, what I need, I'm a real confidence junkie and I need to believe in myself all the time. What I therefore do is not have a to-do list that I tick off and then feel good at the end of the day when I've got some stuff ticked off, or feel really bad if I haven't. Is to try and find time to write things down or think about what I've actually done. And if you think about it positively, you think, oh, I have actually done something.
Marking, I think people when they first start think I have to sit and I mark because that's what teachers do, it's red pen. But marking should impact upon the learning, and if it doesn't, don't spend 4 hours doing it.
I think there's a danger of marking every single piece of work in great detail, writing loads of comments, and then the children don't read them or don't have time to actually act on them.
I often try and mark with the children because it saves my time, but also it's more important for the children because marking a piece of work with the children, they've got then an understanding of what it is they're doing wrong and how to rectify it.
What we try and avoid is to mark everything on the paper and therefore it looks like a spider, a spider's crawled across the page, or red pen all over. The first thing we did is stop red pen.
I mark every day literacy and numeracy because it will impact upon my teaching for the next day.
I like to get the children to mark as much as possible so that they're evaluating what they're doing.
I mean, I'm not saying we don't read all the work that the rest of the work that they do, because we do, but we wouldn't mark it in such detail, especially with large class sizes like we've got.
Yes. No. Yes, I do say no.
Yeah, I say no.
I don't say no.
I don't like to say no.
I think it's important to say no.
It's quite a skill saying no to doing things.
I like to say that I'm actually quite busy already and that maybe it might not be appropriate for me to be adding something on.
And I think if you do say no, you need to say it in a positive way and in a kind way and not in a rude way, and people will respect you for that.
If it was something that came to me and I knew I couldn't do it, I would be completely honest.
I wouldn't say no to someone, I would just tweak how they've asked me to do it to ensure it gets done. Because if someone's asked you to do something, it's for the benefit of the children, and that's what we're here for.
And the danger is to say yes to everything and end up with an absolutely huge workload and not being able to do anything really well.
I give every parent here my home phone number if they want to ring me in the day or night. I really don't mind that. Do you know, no one's ever abused that.
Some parents can be quite demanding of time.
I find that when you first get new parents in, that it's really important to put some time into getting to know them and to developing relationships, because that makes things easier in the long run and actually saves you, time spent sorting out problems.
Now that parent, if I stop assembly and I talk to them about something that may be very important to them, but not for me, the fact that I've given them time, listened to them, it pays back in spades. That word goes out in the community that Mr. Wheatley's a listener.
But if someone came to me and said, I need to talk to you, what I would ask what it is and find out. If I needed to do it then, or it needed to be on a Saturday morning because it was urgent, that would be fine. Or I may say, great, well, I'll see you on Wednesday.
Well, scheduling meetings with parents before the end of school, so there's a 3:30 cut-off is a good one, 3:15 to 3:30. And then, go and collect your children, they're waiting downstairs.
You have to work with parents. They get the other half of the child. You have them from 9 till 3:30, they've got them the rest of the time. So it's got to be a partnership.
Dealing with any problems that arise right when they happen saves a lot of time in the long run, and we can sort of nip things in the bud before it becomes a major problem.
They're my governors, they're my stakeholders, they're everything that I'm doing. And the day that they say, we hate you and we don't want you no more, it's time to go, I'll pack my bags.
Stress. In the past 2 years, we've had a 3-school amalgamation, a new build, putting 3 staff together, Ofsted. So yeah, stress does come into it sometimes.
Stress is a funny word, isn't it?
If you speak to my husband, he'd say yes, but I personally don't ever feel that I'm stressed.
Generally in my work, I'm not stressed because I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends how you sort of define stress.
Nope. Nope. Simple answer, no. Well, I can't tell you about it, I've never suffered from it.
Trying to switch off from school is difficult.
Try not to do any work on a Saturday. That's sort of one of my sort of golden rules, is that I won't do any schoolwork on a Saturday.
When things are piled up and piled up and piled up and piled up, I think it's knowing when to call it a day and go home, and those sort of days just leave early and just say, like, tomorrow morning's a different day.
My way of dealing with it is that I do my work at school and I don't take any work home with me.
I think not being prepared, not being organised can cause more stress for teachers, because that just compounds the fact that you've got these children waiting for you.
I sometimes try to switch off in between a particular time.
I write it all down, then I work out what's got to be done first, and it's very satisfying in a sort of anal way, crossing off something from your list, thinking I've done that.
When there's too much to do and I am stressed,
I love going up into the hills and going for long walks.
I'll go, you know, elsewhere down the pub.
I tend to either run,
Bike ride or go swimming.
And take myself out of the equation, so I might go somewhere like the gym.
I don't know, go for a run or something.
I like watching TV.
and I enjoy a bottle of wine.
Go and see friends at the pub or something like that.
It's about the capacity to switch off.
And I go out into nature.
I don't think I feel stressed in a negative way. I'm not worried about anything. I just write it down in my list and then get on with it. It's a job. It's a wonderful job that is, you know, quite consuming, and we do it for lots of different reasons. People choose to be a teacher for slightly different reasons that you might choose to be an accountant, but it's still a job and you have to have this work-life balance.
At the weekend, I have a day for me that's not work.
School doesn't collapse if you're not there, contrary to what we all like to believe.
I think there's got to be a definite start and a definite finish to the day so that other things can take place.
And this is why I quite like, I work at work and I go home and that's my home, and I don't have, you know, a dining room table that's full of marking.
I deliberately don't take work home, except in one important sense. I do go home and think.
I think it's important to get the balance right so that you can come to work ready to do your best as a teacher.
But I'm one of these people who can mow the lawn and think about it and not at all be worried about that.
It's unsustainable to not have a work-life balance. You'll burn yourself out and you'll end up taking it out on the children, which isn't fair.
You're never, ever, ever going to be able to do everything you want to do as a teacher, and the sooner I think people get that understood, the easier they'll find their life.
Standing about, chatting.
Oh, chatting.
Okay, my worst time management sins.
That's a hard question.
Working at home.
It's the black hole of the internet that I can spend hours on the computer.
My worst time management sins, having told you to say no and teachers to say no, is that I don't very often say no. Rearranging
the display board in my office with all the notices and bits and pieces on it, so I don't have to say, should I say write the CEF?
There's sometimes when you come home and you know you've got something to do and you really want to do it for at the start of the next day, you'll do it, and it may, you may think, really, I could have heard my son read tonight.
And sometimes, some days, you do get waylaid because you're having a conversation about, I don't know, Heat magazine or something like that. And then you find, oh my goodness me, it's 4:30, I've wasted an hour. But you do that sometimes because you're working with people.
I talk to teachers a lot, deliberately, because I want to talk to them. I am probably capable of letting that stretch on a little longer than it should.